Hey everybody, Father Water here. We are in Thursday of the 12th week in Ordinary Time, and we continue studying the second book of Kings. We are in the second last chapter of the second book of Kings. We are in chapter 24, verses 8 to 17. Now, yesterday you will remember we were talking about the good King Josiah. He was one of the few good kings like Hezekiah. Few good kings of the southern kingdom. We know that all the kings of the northern kingdom were evil in the sight of God. This is how scripture defines them, because they worshipped Baal, they worshipped the other gods that were of Assyria and Babylon later. Now, Josiah was a good king, and we know that during the time of Josiah, the priest Hilkiah, under orders of King Josiah, who is renovating the temple, discovers the book of the law, the Pentateuch. And of course, Josiah realizes that they have sinned against God by not following God's law and commands. And we know that Josiah takes his prayer to the Lord. The Lord looks at Josiah's heart, but this time God does not want to reverse his decision that he took at the time of King Manasseh to destroy Judah and to destroy Jerusalem. But God makes a promise to Josiah that he will not destroy this king immediately. He will not destroy Jerusalem in the lifetime of King Josiah. Now, that brings us to chapter 23, and I'd like you to read this even though we are discussing chapter 24, because chapter 23 shows us the works of the good King Josiah. It's always wonderful to see in a bad time someone good come on the scene, and you can actually notice the good work. You see this in political circles, you see this in business circles, you see this in religious circles. Yeah, the minute somebody good steps up to the plate, sometimes you get a wonderful parish priest who comes in, the whole parish is alive spiritually, socially, the welfare of the people, everybody is alive. And Josiah was that kind of king. So we know, when you read chapter 23, Josiah gets literally all the people of Judah, all the people of Jerusalem, the priests, the prophets, he brings them all together, and he makes a covenant with God that they as a people will keep God's commandments. This is what he does on his part. And what he also does is interesting. He burns all the vessels that were found in the temple that were dedicated to Baal and Asherah. These were the fertility gods. So he has them taken into the Kidron Valley, yeah, and burned them. The Kidron Valley, or this was in today's scripture, talks about the fields of Kidron, but the Kidron Valley was also known as the Valley of Hinnom, where all the rubbish of the city was burnt. And that's why you get the word Gehenna. Jesus refers to Gehenna, Gehennon, or hell fire. This was the place where all the rubbish was burnt. And so he has all the vessels that were dedicated to Baal taken out. He's cleansing the temple. He has all the idols taken out of the temple, destroyed, burnt, and the ashes scattered. He wants none of this false worship in God's house. He even breaks up the temples that applied male prostitutes. It's very interesting to read even that great detail. And then if you read the whole of chapter 23, you see the reformation that he brings into spiritual life. Now, one thing that King Josiah does, which is remarkable, is that from the time of the judges, the people of Israel did not celebrate the Passover. This was the greatest feast. And you can see how when we allow religion to be polluted, very often a lot of modernism and modern thinking wants to reform. We keep hearing this. I hear this all the while. Oh, Father, the church is lost in another time, in another period. Hang on, okay? We still are faithful to God. Yeah, what you want is a concession for whatever permissions you may want, yeah, or whatever you may want to do. And I don't want to say much, because sometimes people are offended when you talk about other religions, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. So very clearly he reinstitutes once again the celebration of the Passover, which was not celebrated from the time of the judges. So for the next 18 years of Josiah's life, the Passover is now celebrated. But then you have, remember I said there were two superpowers, always one in the north. At this point of time, the superpower in the north was Babylon, and the superpower in the south was Egypt. And Pharaoh Necho from Egypt comes up and he kills Josiah in battle. Now the people of Israel therefore, seized by the moment, need a king, and they take the son of Josiah. His name is Jehoahaz, and they install him on the throne. Jehoahaz is 23 years old, and he's on the throne for 3 months because Pharaoh Necho will have none of it. He decides, Pharaoh Necho wants his own man. He takes another son of King Josiah and he puts him on this throne. His name is Eliakim. So what Pharaoh Necho does is he takes Jehoahaz, confines him, imposes a tribute on him, upon the people of Judah, and finally we know that Jehoahaz dies in Egypt. So Pharaoh Necho takes the other son of King Josiah, his name is Eliakim, changes his name to Jehoiakim. Now please remember Jehoiakim, because very soon we are going to hear of Jehoiachin. Okay, sounds very familiar. So after Jehoahaz, you have Jehoahaz's brother, whose name is Eliakim. Pharaoh Necho puts him on the throne but changes his name to Jehoiakim. Now both the sons of King Josiah, even though King Josiah brought in spiritual reforms, both the sons of King Josiah were evil in the sight of God. You know, very often we see this. We see parents who have been devout, gone to church all their life, say their prayers, and then you find, their children not practicing the faith. It's not a reflection on the parents. Remember this, each one of us is responsible. Parents always do their duty to bring people up according to the faith. They make that promise at the time of baptism, and then, each adult decides to respond. You can decide to respond with goodness, you can decide to respond with evil. And both Jehoahaz as well as Jehoiakim, both sons of King Josiah, choose to bring back idol worship. They are considered evil in the sight of God. Now Jehoiakim is just 25 years when he is put on the throne by Pharaoh Necho, and he reigns for 11 years. Now this brings us to chapter 24, from where our text is taken. Chapter 24 introduces Nebuchadnezzar. He is the king of the superpower in the north, of Babylon, and it is this king that will finally destroy Judah and raze Jerusalem down to the ground. Now, there are two deportations into Babylon. Today's text talks of the first deportation, okay, the first captivity. There's going to be another one when the Babylonians will come down, and that is in the year 721, in a few years from now from this text, where they will destroy the temple completely. But in chapter 24, we are introduced to Nebuchadnezzar. Now, we know that Jehoiakim, who was an evil king, I just spoke about him, he rebels against the Babylonians. He was a vassal, but he rebels against King Nebuchadnezzar. And he was Jehoiakim. Jehoiakim is followed by his son Jehoiachin, okay, spelled as Jehoiachin. He is just 18 years old, and he is going to rule for just 3 months. Now, because his father rebelled, Nebuchadnezzar will come down with full force down on Jerusalem. He besieges the city, we know, and this young king of 18 years old simply decides to surrender to Nebuchadnezzar, and Nebuchadnezzar will take him into captivity, into Babylon, along with all the princes, all the nobility, the people. He will carry off the treasures of the temple. He will have the vessels of Solomon, which were made in gold, cut down into small pieces and taken to Babylon. He will take all the treasures of the king's household into Babylon. This is the first deportation. Now, the text will end with us being told that the king of Babylon will make Mathaniah, Jehoiakim's uncle, a king in his place, and his name will be changed to King Zedekiah. Tomorrow I will tell you about King Zedekiah. He is going to be the last of the kings of Israel, because Nebuchadnezzar is going to come after Zedekiah and destroy him. He's going to capture him, and he's going to execute his children before his very eyes, before gouging out Zedekiah's eyes himself. And with this, tomorrow we will end the book of Kings and the sad end of the kingdom of Judah and Jerusalem. Then the people will go into exile, and we will not hear of them for a long time, until a new king until the Babylonians will be defeated by the Persians, and it is under King Cyrus that the Israelites will be sent back to Jerusalem. 70 years of exile. And the prophet who will lead them back is the prophet Haggai, who will then encourage them to build the temple. This is where we are. I'm doing a quick history class with you, so that when you read chapter 24 of today, you will fully understand it. I do hope you like this teaching. Don't forget to like it, to share it, and if you haven't, subscribe to this channel. Bye for now. I'm going to see you tomorrow. Remember, I said by the end of this week we'll end teaching this text. Tomorrow will be the last text from the book of Kings, and then we will do one text from the book of Lamentations.